Welcome back to Fantasy Football Today. We got a fun game tonight between the Rams and the Seahawks. And to break down the game for us, it's our buddy Emory Hunt coming to us live from the Caesar Sportsbook at the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. So, Emory, before we get to the props, you're going to help people win a lot of money, but we know you're going to help them win money on the side in this game. So you got the Rams coming into this game on the road, 2.5-point favorites. The over-under is 54.5, so we're going to hopefully see some fireworks in this game. Give me your breakdown of the game and who do you think is going to win and cover?
Yeah, I love the Seahawks in this matchup, so I'm laying the points with Seattle. We saw last week the Rams have issue versus pressure, and that more importantly, Matt Stafford, and I think that's all you're going to see tonight from Seattle's defense. They're going to try to pressure the ball, pressure him in the pocket, and try to play the run on the way to the quarterback. And it's going to yield a lower scoring game, in my opinion, when it's going to be a possession-type matchup. But the Seahawks, to me, are built for this type of game, built for this type of battle, so I like them in this contest.
Yeah, I hope all the offensive stars come to play again. A big story we're keeping an eye on, and we'll have an update for you as soon as we get it, is Alex Collins versus Chris Carson if Carson plays, what that means for the Seattle backfield. So make sure you stay tuned to CBS Sports HQ and obviously CBSSports.com as well. But let's get to the props, Emory. And the other running back in this game has been doing a nice job in Darrell Henderson. So what we're looking at here is his total yards. The number is 88.5. Are we going over or under that number?
We're going to go over. I love Darrell Henderson, the prospect, number one, and he's a chunk play guy in my opinion. So this could be 2 run plays, 1 pass play. He can cover that number, and I think against Seattle's defense and what I expect to be an aggressive approach, I expect them to utilize the screen game to try to get him some touches, get him out in space, get him on that fast track out there in Seattle. Go over that number in my opinion, because this is someone that can do it on both ends of offense.
And what we've seen from the Rams running back situation, whether it was Henderson for 3 games or even Sony Michel for 1 game, they feature their guy. So you know that Darrell Henderson can get a lot of work, and there's a great chance for him to go over this number. And to give you props, Emory, you came on our Fantasy Football Today podcast in the offseason. Before Cam Akers got hurt, you said Darrell Henderson was going to have a good year. I'm sure you would have been more excited about him if you knew Akers wasn't there, but you were still excited about Henderson even when Akers was on the team and healthy. So he's doing a great job so far, delivering with his production so far to start the season. On the other side, you like one of the wide receivers in this game. Tyler Lockett's been up and down, we know. Sometimes he's great, like we saw in the first 2 weeks of the season. Week 3, not so much. So we'll see how things go for him in week number 5. He's been battling a little bit of an injury. Seems to be okay. But we're looking at his reception total here. The number is 5.5. Are we going over or under this number?
I'm going to go over this number. He's been flirting with that over 5 number every time he's played the Rams, or even this season. And because we don't know what's going to go on in the backfield with Seattle, this could be an opportunity for them to utilize Lockett as a supplement to the run game. He doesn't need much. We know he's the master of those deep over routes, but I think we're going to see him catch the football a little bit more shorter early on before they take those shots deep down the field, so he could rack up the receptions. In my opinion, I think he will be utilized more as a sidecar to their run game, in addition to what they do deep down the field. So I see him going over that 5.5 number. A really big opportunity for Lockett to really, jump into the 2021 season with a big game.
Yeah, I love whenever the number's juiced in our favor, and it is plus 105. He only has 1 game, though, over 5.5 receptions. But like you say, he's been flirting with that number almost every week. The last 2 weeks, 4 receptions on the number. But we know that he's a big play guy for your fantasy team, so obviously you want to keep him in there for sure, whether he hits his number or not. But I'm going to trust Emory on this one and go over the number at 5.5 receptions as well. Another prop you're looking at here is also involving Tyler Lockett. It's his longest reception. So the number is 23.5. Are we going over or under that number for Lockett?
I'm going over. This prop to me is going to be a year-long type thing. Like last year was a year-long Daniel Jones over under
right.
0.5 interception or turnover total. He was going to easily hit that. I feel like Lockett gets one of these chunk plays a game. And we just talked about the overall, how it's a staple of that Seahawks offense. Doesn't matter who's running it, but it usually is Tyler Lockett getting behind the defense and just tracking the football. So I see him, and 23 to me is not a big number. Usually this number is like 37 or something like that, which is kind of funny when you tend to flirt with it. But 23 seems like a routine catch for Tyler Lockett, so definitely going over.
He's got a 63-yard reception, a 69-yard reception on the season already, so easy to see him doing that. And obviously we know this Rams defense, they like to take chances, they like to gamble, and so you do that against a speed threat, a deep guy like Tyler Lockett with the way Russell Wilson throws the ball, easily an opportunity for him to make some plays down the field. Emory, you're the best. You look great. I'm sure you're going to enjoy watching the game tonight. Have fun there at the Caesar Sportsbook at the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C., and I'm sure we'll talk to you throughout the weekend here on Fantasy Football Today. All right, let's get to some props from us. And I know, Dave, you're going to disagree a little bit on Tyler Lockett here, but we'll talk about the guys that we like. So let's start with the prop that we're looking at to go over. Our favorite prop to go over in tonight's game. Dave, you get the first word. Which was the guy you're looking at and the prop you're looking at as well?
I loved hearing what Emory had to say about Darrell Henderson and getting over 88.5 total yards. I think he'll get it done easily in the passing game, over 20.5 receiving yards at -115. He's already done that in 2 of 3 games this year, and in week 1, he only had 1 catch. He had 17 yards on this catch. Emory's not lying. This is a chunk play type of guy, and he can make big plays out of the backfield. Matthew Stafford's going to need to do something to evade that pass rush from Seattle, and there will be a pass rush coming for him in this game. Henderson's going to get a bunch of catches and a good amount of receiving yards.
All right, so he's got a chance for a big game, like Emory said, over 88.5 total yards. Dave's going with over 20.5 receiving yards here at -115. Heath, your favorite prop to go over is?
I'm going to stick with Darrell Henderson. Everybody loves Darrell Henderson. I'll go over the rushing yards at 64.5. He had 70 in week 1. He had 89 last week. The Seahawks defense is not any good at all. I think he's going to get the volume. Loved the fact that after Sony Michel fumbled last week, it was all Henderson again. For majority of this season, it's been a one-back team, and I expect it will be on Thursday night again.
Yep, love both of those. I think Darrell Henderson's in line for a great start. You should be starting him in your fantasy lineups if you're not. And I think you also might want to go back to Robert Woods. I know it's been a very frustrating season so far for him, but I always like when you hear the coach recognizing that there needs to be a squeaky wheel game coming. Here's what Sean McVay said prior to week 3 about Deshaun Jackson. Quote, "I have to figure out a better way to get him involved. He's too good of a player." Well, what did Jackson do? 3 catches, 120 yards, and a touchdown the next week. What did he just say about Robert Woods? We just need to get him some more opportunities, and that starts with me. There are targets coming for Robert Woods. There are receptions coming for Robert Woods. Take the over on his reception total. It's 5.5 at +105. He's going to go over this number because the MO is out there. Get the ball to Robert Woods in tonight's game, and Seattle's defense is miserable.
Did you see what his receiving yards total is for this game?
No.
60.5.
Take the over.
They want you to take the under. They want you to say, oh, Robert Woods has been terrible forever. Don't do it. Take the over.
Yeah, it's going to be a big game for him because Seattle's defense not very good. All right, speaking of unders, let's take a look at the unders that we're buying into. And so, Dave, you're going against Emory. You're going with the under on the 5.5%.
Playing with fire when you go against Emory Hunt. He's been red hot, but I've seen what you've seen. 3 of 4 games this season. Tyler Lockett with 4 catches. Even the game where Russell Wilson threw 32 passes, Lockett only had 4 grabs. So I'm thinking he can get 5 catches in this game. 5.5 just seems a number a bit too far.
And your under, Heath, is in regard to who?
Yeah, I mean, you guys are going back and forth on Tyler Lockett. I don't know how anybody predicts which week Tyler Lockett's going to catch a bunch of passes or not. But Russell Wilson, we know he doesn't throw very much. He has 0 games this season with more than 34 pass attempts. It's an easy under for me on his pass attempts, under 34.5. He's 32 is the max. This team is averaging 27 pass attempts. They are dead last in the NFL at 52 plays per game. And part of the reason for that is they're either running and playing slow, or when they score, it's because they throw it 75 yards to Tyler Lockett, and then you don't run any more plays on that drive. I don't think he's going to throw a lot of passes tonight.
He could throw some down the field because it would help Dave if he hits Tyler Lockett with some big plays, but not over 5.5 receptions. That would be bad for Emory, but good for Dave. It would be good for me, too, because my under is DK Metcalf under 5.5 receptions. I always, again, look for the numbers that are just in our favorites at +115. And 2 games this season, he's been under 5.5 receptions. 2, he's been at 6, so it's not like he's getting a high volume of catches. Typically, we like DK Metcalf for his touchdown potential. He does have 3 touchdowns in 4 games this year. So if the pass attempts are down, it's going to work out for Dave. It's going to work out for me, and you guys will make some money. So there's the props that we're looking at. The overs, the unders. We'll have more throughout the day here on CBS Sports HQ as well. Leading up to kickoff tonight, you can check out the Sportsline show at 6 p.m. Eastern.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.